Hey guys, Chris from Hockey Tutorial here, and today in this video we're going to be taking a look at two brand new helmets. We've got the Bauer Hyperlite helmet over here to my left and the brand new CCM X helmet to my right. These two helmets are probably some of the most popular ones out right now because they're new. There's a lot of gossip about them on social media, so in this video we're going to be sharing some feedbacks and of course some opinions on what the performance has been like and which of the two should be the one that you should probably be considering as your next helmet if you're trying to figure out which one of these two to pick up. Let's jump in. And of course, as always, before we jump into the video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up because that really helps us out. It helps the YouTube algorithm show our video to more people, expose our channel to more people, which means we can continue to make these videos. So if you don't mind, thumbs up before we jump in, and make sure that you're also subscribed because a bunch of you that watch our videos aren't subscribed yet. So if you like the videos, please consider subscribing because it does really go a long way and it does really help us out. Now, before we jump into the subject of helmets and protection and all of that jazz, I filmed a video a few months back, or a few years back probably now, that went into the details of cheap versus expensive helmets, because the price of a helmet does not in any way dictate the level of protection it offers you on the ice against impacts or various other things that happen on the ice while we're playing hockey. That is where you reference Virginia Tech's hockey rating that you can find on Virginia Tech's website, and I'll also link it down below in the video description. These guys test helmets as they get released. I will mention that the Hyperlite helmet isn't on there just yet, but the X helmet is. These guys are looking for lineal and rotational accelerations of the head while they're testing their helmets. And this is something that the stickers on the back of helmets that everyone sees, that is essentially a North American certification that says that these helmets are certified and good to play hockey. But the entities that test these helmets test them very differently to Virginia Tech. It's why if you're shopping for a helmet, go on Virginia Tech's website and find the helmet that you're considering buying, see where it's rated before you decide to take the plunge. Because shockingly, CCM's brand new X helmet is actually at the very bottom of Virginia Tech's list, which means that according to the way that they test helmets looking for linear and rotational accelerations of the heads, those particular types of impacts that hockey players may sustain during the game, this helmet ranked the least effective against those particular types of impacts that hockey players might sustain out of all of the hockey helmets that have been released in recent times. So that's definitely worth thinking about when you're picking up your next helmet. Now, when we look at the Bauer Hyperlite helmet, unfortunately, as I said, this particular helmet isn't on that system or that rating system yet. Now, this isn't me taking favor over Bauer over CCM, but when you look at Virginia Tech's rating system for all of the hockey helmets, Bauer's helmets don't tend to be in the bottom categories of their rating systems. So that's food for thought. That kind of makes me think that Bauer's Hyperlite helmet isn't going to be somewhere at the bottom, but you never know. But it is worth mentioning, if you're looking for a new helmet, please reference Virginia Tech, which will be down below in the video description. It is the safest and most logical way for you to pick up your next hockey helmet. Remember, the price means nothing. It's about how it's going to protect you on the ice and how comfortable it is for your particular head shape. Now, that aside, let's jump into the video. And of course, guys, if you can hear that drilling, there's some construction going on in our office block. There's nothing we could do about it. It's been going on all week. Hopefully, it's not disturbing the video too much, but let's jump in. Now, the first helmet we're going to be looking at is going to be Bauer's new Hyperlite helmet. Now, the name really does sell one of the key features of this helmet away, which is going to be the new weight. If we compare this to one of Bauer's previous generation helmets, like the React 150, this helmet is about 20% lighter. That's not just a random number that I'm throwing out at you. It is something that you can feel when you pick this helmet up. It's the first thing you notice about it. This is probably the lightest helmet I've ever picked up in modern day hockey. Now, in addition to this helmet being incredibly light, it also features Bauer's brand new Shock-Light foam technology, which is built into 5 strategical key zones inside the helmet. Of course, that means we're not sacrificing on its impact protection as well. But something I will mention is this particular helmet hasn't been added to Virginia Tech's hockey helmet rating system to date. So the date that we were filming this video, we did check, and we've been constantly checking for the last few weeks. But Virginia Tech, for whatever reason, are yet to test this helmet out. But once they do, that information will be linked down below in the video description. There'll be a link to it so you can see how this hockey helmet is rated in comparison to, of course, the CCM X helmet and any other helmets that are out there. So once that's updated, link will be down below in the video description. But those are essentially the two main features about this helmet: Bauer's new Shock-Light foams and the fact that this helmet is super, super light. In addition to this, one more feature that I was about to forget is also going to be the adjustability of this helmet. It has 3 clips two on the side, one on the top that you can release to adjust not only the length of the helmet, but also the lateral fit. So you're essentially being able to really manipulate the fit of the helmet to fit your head much better and much more securely and much more snug. In my opinion, I'm a big fan of the helmets that allow you to adjust them width and also lengthways when you undo the clips, rather than just in one direction. So essentially, those are the main points about this new helmet. Now from there, it's going to be moving on to CCM's brand new X helmet. This helmet has definitely been very popular online because it looks unlike any other mainstream helmet from a mainstream hockey manufacturer that we've ever seen. The liner inside here looks like a crazy honeycomb structure. The reason for that is this is using CCM's brand new Nest Tech or Nest technology, which is a digitally printed lettuce-like or honeycomb-like structure of the liners for the helmet. You can see that it has a very, very unique look, and it also features a series of layers of this digitally printed honeycomb structured liner that is inside these helmets. The idea behind this new liner, or this digitally printed honeycomb-like multi-layered structure of these crazy looking liners in the X helmets, the main reason for this is that it's supposed to provide you with superior breathability. But of course, in addition to this, it offers premium comfort and elite level protection. This is a structure of a helmet unlike any other that I've come across from the mainstream manufacturers before, and it is pretty cool to see CCM doing something drastically different from anything that they've done previously. So while the Hyperlite helmet from Bauer's main feature was that lightweight construction without sacrificing on its impact protection, the weight of that helmet is definitely something that you realize, and it's something that any player would appreciate. A lighter bucket goes a very long way. Now, when we look at CCM's X helmet, that's not what they've done here. Lightness isn't really what this helmet is trying to achieve. It's trying to create a helmet that is incredibly breathable. This digitally printed liner with all of these honeycomb-like structures has a lot of gaps. You can literally see through the entire helmet. And the reason for that is to allow air to pass through the entire structure of the helmet, including the liners that are there to protect us. So in addition to having a helmet that is incredibly breathable, how does that affect our performance on the ice? Now what CCM are claiming is this brand new 3D printed Nest Tech liners helps to keep your head cooler. And by doing this, you essentially have improved breathability, which means less body heat loss, giving you more consistent energy on the ice. Now CCM claim that this will help you to increase your performance throughout the game, and in theory also help you to recuperate much faster in between shifts. Now looking at the adjustability of this helmet, it has two clips on either side of the helmet, not three like the Hyperlite from Bauer. And once you undo these clips, you're able to adjust essentially the length of the helmet, which is being able to adjust it in one way. I do prefer Bauer's option of being able to adjust the helmet in more than one way, just so you can have a nice snug fit. But these particular style of liners, the digitally printed liners inside these helmets, do wrap around your head much better than other liners that I've used, which are solid and fixed and nowhere near as malleable or soft. The softness and how malleable these liners are really does allow it to sit on your head very comfortably. But of course, what we're going to be touching on just after this point is how do they compare when you actually step out onto the ice with them. Now this is where things get very interesting. So with the X helmet from CCM, I have no hair, you guys know that. So when I wear a helmet like this with these 3D printed liners, it essentially has a slightly abrasive feel in comparison to other helmets that I've used from CCM that have either like gel-like bladders inside them, which are incredibly soft, which is the previous generation of helmets that we saw from CCM, or like the Resistance, which I know is my personal favorite helmet and also Tommy's as well. This is a much more abrasive material to have on your head, especially if you have no hair. It is something that throughout the game I do feel on my head. I'm not going to go as far as saying that it scratches, but you can definitely feel it on your head. If you adjust the helmet or you move around on the ice, I feel like although it does contour and wrap and hold your head much better, and more of the helmet is definitely in contact with my head than any other helmet that I've worn, but the surface of these new liners is something that I'm particularly not a fan of. And of course as well, because this helmet only adjusts in one way, that's another area as well. And the other point is, this helmet is significantly heavier than the Hyperlite. Of course, we did weigh these helmets without any visors or cages. We just gave you the raw weight of the helmet. The CCM X helmet was coming in at 609 grams, whereas the Bauer Hyperlite helmet was coming in at 449 grams. It's a considerable difference of weight between these helmets, and I'm not going to lie, it is one that you feel on the ice. Now, when we look at the Hyperlite helmet, the foams and liners inside this are much more traditional. They're a lot more similar to what I'm used to seeing, what I'm used to experiencing, but these are a lot more dense than I'm previously used to having. Even when I've adjusted the helmet and I feel like it fits properly because it's so light, when I'm on the ice, I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel a thing. I literally don't even think about the helmet, but when I take it off, this area of the helmet here that comes into contact with my forehead is an area that I do feel a little bit of pressure when I take the helmet off. Of course, our head shapes are going to be very, very different. Perhaps this is one of the reasons for it, but it's just something that I would point out. I'm not going to say this is the most comfortable helmet that I've worn because it's not, but I don't feel it when I'm on the ice. And in terms of our protective equipment, I feel like that's how it should be. I don't want to have to think about it when I'm on the ice. If that's the case, I know that it's doing its job. And because of how light this helmet is, it's just unreal. If I had to pick between these two helmets, hands down, I'd be going for the Bauer Hyperlite because of the weight and because I didn't feel it on my head when I was on the ice. And another area of the helmet that I'm a big fan of is the protection area around your ear. If you do want to take these out, with the Bauer Hyperlite helmet, you can literally just slip them out. Whereas with the CCM, you have to unscrew them and screw them back in. So it's not really a big deal, but it is something that does benefit you. If you're on the ice and you decide they're giving you a bit of discomfort, you can pop them out. But if you need to put them back in, you can slip them back in. Now, the last point I'm going to touch on is the breathability versus the lightness. With CCM's helmet, the breathability is the main feature, and of course this new 3D printed liners that are meant to hug our heads. But what does it feel like on the ice? Can you feel it? You can feel a little increase in the air moving around the inside of your helmet because of how breathable, and the entire structure is basically honeycomb, so air just passes through it while you're skating. But it's not something you feel massively. Now with the Hyperlite helmet, it just felt like a regular helmet. I didn't really notice better breathability or not, but the CCM one, you do kind of feel it if you're switching between these helmets back and forth, especially when it gets to the second or third period and you're a little bit sweaty and a bit clammy. This helmet with the honeycomb structure, I do feel like it does help you a little bit. But if I had the option to go for breathability over a helmet that is incredibly light, I'd just pick the light helmet, because at the end of the day, you have to think about what level of hockey you're playing. And if you're recreational versus competitive, you're probably going to go for lightweight and comfort. I'd feel like most people would probably go for lightweight and comfort anyways, but I feel like this helmet acts in a way that you kind of don't see the results immediately. It's something that you will notice over a duration of time, as this helmet is helping you to perform better on the ice by having your body at a better temperature than a traditional helmet. Whereas this helmet is something you notice immediately because it's super, super lightweight. So bear that in mind when you're deciding between these two helmets. Now, of course, I'm gonna hand over to Tommy to see what he thinks about each of these helmets so you can hear from him as well as myself.
Right, so today we have been looking at the CCM X helmet and the Bauer Hyperlite helmet. I started off using the Bauer Hyperlite. The first thing you notice about the helmet is how light it is. It is probably the lightest helmet I've ever picked up. It is ridiculous. And I don't know how any other hockey players pick their helmet, but for me, first thing I look for is comfort. Is it comfy on my head? Is it gonna irritate me during games? I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't that comfy. I didn't like it. I felt like the foam on the inside was quite solid. It wasn't, it just didn't sit very nicely on my head. If we go on to the comfort on the X, it really pains me to say it, but it was horrible. It was terrible. The Nest tech that's inside this helmet scratches your forehead. It leaves you with a honeycomb print on your forehead if you do the helmet up too tight. It was not nice at all. I hated it. I said that to Chris as soon as I see him. I said that helmet was terrible. And I did not want to admit it, but it just wasn't nice. It wasn't comfortable. It didn't sit nicely. It scratches, it irritates you during play. Something that's going to distract you away from what you're actually doing because of the itchiness. It itches, it's not comfortable. So when you're playing, all you're going to think about is that scratching around and irritating your head. Going from there, if I had to pick one of these two to wear, it'd have to be the Bauer. I think it's comfier. It's not going to distract you during game. Even though it's not comfy, it's comfier than this. And for me, that's a big part in what I want with my helmet. I don't want my helmet to irritate me. I don't want it to itch me. I don't want it to scratch me. I want it to just protect my head. I don't want it to feel like it's there. So if I had to pick one of these two, it would be the Bauer Hyperlite. But if I had to pick, or if I got range of any helmet throughout the years that I've used, I had a CCM Resistant. That has to be my all-time favourite helmet from, I think, 11 years of playing now. But I don't think CCM make them. But if I had a choice of any, it'd be the helmet I'd go back to. The comfort was lovely, it was light, protected me. That's what I'd go back to if I had the choice.
As always, guys, a big thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you can hear that drilling, I'm sorry. There's some construction going on in the neighborhood in our office block, so there's not much we can do about it, but I hope it's not interfered with the video too much. A big thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing and make sure that you thumbs up as well so you can stay up to date with all of the videos that we post. Big thank you to CCM and Bauer for making this video possible by giving us access to this equipment, and we'll catch you in the next video. Take care.